Hello, and welcome back to Take Action News with David Shuster, the executive producer Daniel Marins. Earlier this week, there was some good news in Congress, I think it's fair to say, and that is that there was a crisis averted to some extent, or at least a standoff that was ended. Reid had said that if Republicans did not approve 7 nominees, including 3 of the District Court of Appeals, 3 federal judges, as well as the Secretary of Labor, Thomas Perez, president's nominee, the president's nominee to head the EPA, Gina McCarthy, and, of course, the empty seats on the National Labor Relations Board. Now, the reason this crisis came to a head, and I think it's very important to point all this stuff out, is that for a long time, the NLRB, in particular, was not functioning at all. And then, again, this is the body that approves union elections and recognizes their bargaining rights and enforces that stuff, and was able to essentially mean that many workers who had voted to join unions still did not have bargaining rights, and there were many labor disputes that essentially had accumulated into a backlog. So I think that in particular was something that was kind of urgent in this particular case. Whether or not it was what Republicans, or rather what Democrats found urgent, is something else to behold. But essentially, Reid, the Senate Majority Leader, the Democrat that is in charge of the Senate Democrats, essentially said, look, we're tired of this. And so essentially we're going to vote a majority law that says that you can't filibuster presidential nominees. Now, this has been called the nuclear option. It's something that Senate Republicans, when they were in charge during Bush's tenure in 2006, 2007, were threatening to use against the Democrats before Democrats approved a bunch of their nominees. I think it's fair to say that Democrats' obstruction was not nearly as extreme back then.
Yeah.
But Cole, my take is that it's incremental progress. I mean, getting the Republicans, because essentially what happened was they threatened this, and then within, 48-hour period, it was like the Egyptian army threatening Morsi. Reid goes in, and all of a sudden he's, the somewhat reasonable Republicans like John McCain are like, okay, we'll let the nominees through, just don't pull our filibustering power.
Yeah, it makes you wonder what capability Reid and Senate Democrats have to get more aggressive in their tactics in the future. Although it goes back. Let's not. I think I agree with your assessment, which is I think it's an important incremental step, because basically you had the NLRB was going to be de facto just a defunct organization.
And not just that decisions from years past were being called into question because of the validity, whether there was a real quorum on the board and everything like that. It's amazing stuff. In fact, industry in some ways was rooting for some kind of a resolution here, and I think that may have played a role. But unfortunately, we're gonna cut to break in just a moment. We can talk a little bit more about this after the break, and then talk about a little bit about immigration policy. But I think the bottom line here, Cole, is that you're right that the Senate could use this leverage more, but the Senate is also now showing that they're valuable to the White House and what that means, and that the White House now, if they want Democrats to go along with something, Democrats have essentially power over them in the Senate, because they really did the White House a favor by playing hardball on this. And I think that we may see the implications of that, hopefully, in things like the grand bargain, and where Senate Democrats are a little bit more progressive than the White House, at least on paper.
Yeah, we'll see.
They passed a budget that did not include Social Security cuts, so I'll give that to them. Coming up next, we're going to continue our conversation about the nuclear option aversion and immigration reform when Take Action News continues after this.